Hello and welcome everybody to the Parenting and Bonding with Children's Books show, where we believe that books are magic and have the power to transform homes. On this show, we talk to the authors behind the magic to find out their true intentions behind the books. And in today's episode, we'll be diving into topics of navigating new challenges, building meaningful friendships, and nurturing creative expression. And you walk away from this episode today better equipped to have open dialogue with your child about their challenges. I mean, how often is it that we get to read a public writing of a middle schooler's diary, right? So this episode is bound to be truly inspiring as we're joined by a mother-daughter team who through their collaborative efforts have not only entertained millions of children worldwide, but have also showcased the unique dynamics of family relationships, friendships, and self-acceptance. Introducing the author who has eloquently captured the ups and downs of middle school life, Rachel Renée Russell, and her equally talented daughter, the illustrator behind the delightful images, Nikki Russell. Hello.
Hi, how are you, Gwen? Be here. Thank you for having us.
So excited to be sitting here with you two today. And you know what? I forgot to ask, where are you two located?
We're in Northern Virginia. Actually,
Okay,
Chantilly, Virginia. Yep, right
all right, anybody who's listening or watching from Northern Virginia, let us know. I'll give you guys a little bit of background, but I'm sure many of you know who we're speaking with today. With their best-selling Dork Diaries series spanning 15 books and over 55 million copies in print translated into 42 languages, Rachel and Nikki have provided families with a remarkable tool. These tales of Nikki Maxwell resonate with tweens worldwide, reminding everyone to embrace their uniqueness and let their inner dork shine. So sit tight, grab your diaries or journals, and let's embark on this dorky adventure together. Let's begin. You ready?
Yes, we are.
Wonderful. So both of you, tell us a little bit about yourself. What led you to the world of books, especially books targeted toward tweens?
Okay, I'm Rachel Renée Russell, and I'm the author of Dork Diaries. And I have two daughters, Nikki and her sister. And when they went off to college, I was kind of having empty nest syndrome. Not to say that I micromanaged their lives as their mom, but once they, were off in college, I had all this extra time. And I've always wanted to write a children's book. So I thought, since I have, the time on my hands, I will sit down and start working on this goal and this dream that I had, which is to write a children's book. So I wanted it to be inspiring, and I wanted it to be something that a child would read and that it could actually impact their lives. So that's when I thought of the most challenging situations that my two daughters had. Their dad is like 6'4", so he's really tall, and they inherited his genes for height. So when they were in kindergarten, they looked like third graders, and in third grade, they probably looked like fifth or sixth graders, and so on and so on. They were taller than all of the boys in their class. So they got teased and they got bullied, and kids kind of made fun of them. And then, and they also were very creative and very original. So it kind of created a situation where they just did not fit in. So I decided to make Dork Diaries about a child that was going through some of the same issues, and that with bullying and not fitting in and being made to feel less than. So that was what Dork Diaries was about. And Nikki, to this day, is still obsessed with diaries and writing in a diary. She spends her first half an hour at work or hour at work writing in a diary and journaling. So the diary was the perfect format to capture, our main character and her thoughts and feelings. And it's first person too, which is wonderful. So that was my goal with writing Dork Diaries, was to inspire kids who were suffering through some of the same challenges that my daughters were, to have a book that they could read that's funny and inspiring and will give them the strength to persevere and embrace who they really are.
I love that. And we still have to find out a little bit about Nikki, but I want to ask, when was the first book released?
The first book was released in 2009. Actually, it was June of 2009.
Wow. Okay. June 2009.
So next year will be the 15th year that we're working together, Nikki and I.
Oh, like 15th anniversary.
Yes. Yep. Next year.
Okay. Are you planning something special?
Well, we originally wanted to go to Paris. We were planning to go. That's why this whole book 15 is about Paris, because we were planning to go to Paris in like May of 2020. But of course, the world basically is shut down. So we had to write the Dork Diaries posh Paris adventure without ever having been to Paris. So I would say my goal for us is to finally get our mother-daughter trip to Paris, you know.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And that was actually one of my later questions. So it was interesting to find that out. Why Paris?
Yes,
so
because
Nikki,
we were going to be there anyway. So we thought, since we're going to be there on a mother-daughter trip, we'll just make our book 15 about that, and we can, you know, do a little work and, you know, while we're there. But it didn't happen. We didn't make it to Paris, but Nikki Maxwell and her friends in the book did make it to Paris.
They made it to Paris.
Exactly.
Wonderful. So Nikki, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you into the world of books.
Okay, well, as you may already know, I'm the illustrator of Dork Diaries, and I'm very proud of the position I hold because I have a very special place in my heart for kids who do not fit in and feel like they do not belong, and try to be friends with popular kids, but the popular kids just shut them out because they're different. That was my experience pretty much growing up, and that's where my mom got the inspiration for Dork Diaries. I was a bit of an odd duckling growing up. I still needed to find my voice. I still needed to find my sense of style. I still needed to do all of these things. And then there were kids I really looked up to who seemed so cool and so together and confident. And when I tried to approach this really cool girl that I admired, she just didn't want to be friends. And she'd go so far as to tease me and make fun of me and give me a really hard time. And it made me feel bad, but I had to realize that it was important to keep believing in myself, to be kind to myself, even though she wasn't kind to me, and to be kind to other people who are kind back to me, regardless of how they may look or dress or how they're different from me, because what matters is they treat me the way I want to be treated. And that's what Nikki Maxwell does in her book. She's a really sweet girl. She has her moments, because we all do, right? But in the end, she chooses to go high whenever mean people go low, like her mean girl, Mackenzie Hollister.
Okay. I love how you reuse that quote.
Yes, I know, right? It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So I haven't written this down, and I hope I'm not throwing you off, but what is your definition of a dork?
Okay, who's going first?
You want to answer?
Oh, okay. All right. My definition of a dork is, let's see, I want to say someone who dances to the beat of their own drummer, but I also want to put it in my own words. Somebody who is still discovering themselves and need the space to do it without judgment or hating or any of those things. And whether they are the most popular kid in school or a kid who chooses to sit alone at lunch, they still deserve the same kindness that you would give anybody else. They are special, they are unique, they tend to grow up and accomplish amazing, incredible things. They tend to be a little strange because they're ahead of their time. Like, take me, for example, when I was in high school, I already knew a bag with wheels at the bottom of them was a good idea. So I took an overnight bag
in lieu of backpacks, because they should come home with like 40 pounds of books, you know, and basically she was only maybe 70 or 80 pounds herself. And that's how it is even now. You'll see like a third grader carrying 40 pounds of books, and the third grader is probably 40 or 50 pounds themselves even. So,
but that's the thing. Idea. When I used that idea, I got made fun of for it. I would roll the bag through the hallway and everybody would just tease me because they had no clue what I was doing.
The typical carry-on, well, they converted those into backpacks now. And you just roll your backpack. And then sometimes they'll have like the, where you could still put it on your back, but she was doing that, 15 years, whenever.
Yeah.
She was in high school with a carry-on bag, not burdening herself, but everybody, you came home in tears one day.
Yeah, so they just used it as more ammo to make fun of me and give me a hard time. But that's what dorks tend to do. They tend to think out of the box.
Yeah.
They're ahead of their time. They're old souls. They're just really special, amazing people, and they deserve respect.
And I would say they're probably above intelligence, above average, and probably brilliant. I'll go and say, well, it's my daughter. So. But I think dorks tend to be smart, if not brilliant. They're forward thinking. I think they tend to be very kind. They tend to be generous and maybe naive a little bit. But I mean, I would claim the guy that the Apple, Dell, Amazon, a lot of the people that are changing the world were considered dorks or geeks or nerds. And now there's a movement even to get women into STEM. And a lot of the women that are going into STEM are probably your stereotypical, kids that, well, again, smart, they're scientists and they're good at math. Those were the dorky kids. So that's my definition of a dork would be kids that are smart and intelligent and kind. And then they are the ones, they will not they won't treat the quarterback or the halfback of the football team. Even if they are dork, nobody's going to come up in their face and say something mean, but they will say it to the, kind, friendly math whiz or the girl that's really good at science or the person that has a big vocabulary. And heaven help you if you're Black and you're dorky, then it's like, yeah. So dorks and schools do have, challenges. And then if you're African American and super smart, you have challenges too, because sometimes other Black people think you're a little strange. But hopefully all that is changing.
Yeah, you two made me think of a couple things, and thank you for your description of what a dork is to you. First, my son, he's 9, and every morning when he's putting on his backpack, and they have like this big giant binder now that they have to carry through the backpack, he's like, it's so heavy, and I'm always trying to like readjust it. I'm always trying to readjust it. And then you two actually took me back to a moment with my great grandmother when she bought me a book bag on wheels, and I did not want it.
I know you knew what was gonna happen. If you stepped into the school building with that, all heck was gonna break loose.
Yes.
Especially if you were the first person to have one. Now if this cutesy, good dancer, not the best cheerleader, but cheerleader showed up, then everybody's gonna want that. But if a cool, dorky, quiet, smart kid does something innovative, then the first thing they want to do is tease you about it. It's not trendy and cool and whatever. So we didn't want to traumatize you during this interview, bringing up these old memories. But so I think you're kind of understanding it.
No, I do. And there are so many quote unquote dorks of the world today that we have a great respect and admiration for. Even fictional, like on TV, your Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, or
you go.
And there is I'm in STEM. I actually work in STEM. So I know how they're trying to get women.
What area are you in?
I work in tech. I work in cybersecurity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, there is a huge movement, even with my company, to get women, especially women of color, into STEM. And there's a stigma around it. So a series like yours, helping children come to, especially at the tween age, it's such an age where you really begin to think about who you are and who you are in the world. And you need, and this is why I wanted to introduce this interview to my community, is because we need more parents to have an open dialogue around who their children are and who they want to be, and not try to shape themselves around who people expect them to be. So I think that this is amazing. So how, as a mother-daughter team, how is it working together? How do you bring the words and the illustrations together in the book?
But before I even answer that, I want to put out there, Dork Diaries book 11, and I won't get up and go get it, but it is about girls in STEM. It's about, so any parents or whatever they're listening to this, if you have a girl that's dorky and smart and brilliant, then she probably would really be attracted to Dork Diaries book 11, because there's a science club that's all boys. And anyway, I won't reveal it up, but it's our Dork Diaries book 11. Nikki goes into the science club and she gets girls in there, and it's all about girls in STEM. And anyway, it's wonderful. So what was your question again? You were saying,
thank you for sharing that.
Together? Yeah,
as a mother-daughter team, how is that?
I'll let Nikki answer it too, but in my opinion, we're going on our 15th year next year. So we've written 20 books, and I think there are 20 for Dork Diaries. It's 19 consecutive bestsellers. If we add our second series, The Misadventures of Max Crumley, we've had 20 consecutive New York Times bestsellers. So the way we work is that, thank you. for Dork Diaries, each month each book is 1 month in her life. Mm-hmm. So Dork Diaries book 1 was September, book 2 was October, November, etc. So the way I write is that I'll write the first chapter, which is 1 day. So I'll write a chapter about whatever's going on, whatever drama, it's be school, home, parents, and then I will make art instructions, and these are instructions to Nikki of what I think a nice artwork would be for whatever pages or whatever scene. I give her the draft of the chapter along with the art instructions, and she reads the chapter, and then she comes up with art. And inevitably, when I get it back, I rip up my chapter and start over because I am so motivated and my mind is usually blown. And I know I sound probably a little braggy because I'm her mother, but when I get the artwork back, it's almost like what I've had in my mind, she's actually got on paper. So I go back, and if I don't just rip it up and start over, I'll take it and just revise it and make it better. And then I give it back to her again, and then she'll read what I wrote, and then maybe she'll tweak the artwork. And we just go through each day, for the entire month that way.
So it's like a cycle. She uses my artwork to write the book, and I use what she writes to create the artwork. And I polish up what I draw based on how she refines her writing.
We kind of feed off of each other until we end up with what you're reading in the book.
Yeah.
Cool. I was looking at the artwork, and I know, and for anybody watching or listening, how illustrations can really bring a book to life. Our focus a lot of times, well, when I'm reading to my son, when I'm talking to parents, I'm like, give them words, just keep reading and give them words, but the illustrations really help bring it to life. I noticed a lot of emotion in the faces. What are you thinking about as you're illustrating the books?
I'm thinking about how to best portray that emotion. Like I may feel it inside of me in order to be able to draw it right. And then I might also refer to Google Images or other books that I think are helpful for looking at emotions and properly depicting the face. But most of it is in here from all of the practicing.
And then Dork Diaries is really, really popular with reluctant readers. It's a lot of drama, there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of things happening. And I think that is engaging to people who don't like books or who aren't that fond of reading. And of course, the artwork is like the final straw. And then usually, people are totally engaged. So between the drama and then there's the humor and the artwork. So I think those three things combine to make us one of the top choices nationally, for reluctant readers. And I've gotten letters from parents that were actually telling me they're crying as they write this, and that they have been trying to get their child to read for like several years. And then one day they brought home a Dork Diaries book, or a teacher gave it, or a friend was reading it. And now they're like reading the classics even, a few years down the line. So that's something I'm proud of too, is that we're a gateway for readers.
Thank you for sharing that, because I know many parents in our audience are looking for books that reluctant readers will be attracted to. And I know that most kids at this age are getting into independent reading, right? In our Facebook community, we encourage parents to still read aloud as much as possible. I know that can be difficult when you have an independent reader. Mm-hmm. I know also that you wrote these books with your children in mind and their experiences when they were going through middle school. Mm-hmm. How did you envision parents and children still connecting or having open dialogue around your books?
What I envisioned was kids opening the book, because even in like the first chapter or two, Nikki's already facing some issues. Number one, she wants a cell phone. And what does her mom gives her? A diary. So she has a problem with that. And she's like, I'll never, ever, ever, ever write in this diary. And then by chapter 2, she's continuing to write in the diary. So I just hope that kids would read it and they would see that Nikki is struggling with some of the same things that she's struggling with. She's dying to have a cell phone. Most kids at this age are dying to have a cell phone. So I was just hoping that they would relate to the character and just like they can see that she's so much like them, when Nikki Maxwell starts to deal with some of the challenges, I was hoping they would read that and be able to emulate that and relate to that as well. And then Nikki also does talk to her parents about some of the issues she's having. So my whole thing is that we were kind of putting Dork Diaries out there for kids to be able to read it and see an example of how to adequately and correctly cope with bullying and cope with, challenges of, kids being mean and whatever. So, and this looks like it's been happening because, we do the thing that's probably happened in my career in the last, I'd even say since COVID, is that we've been getting emails from kids that were reading us at 8 years old back in 2009, and they're 21 and 22 years old now. They're coming out of college and they're getting married, and I don't know why they're writing me at 22, maybe because they're officially an adult and officially starting their adult lives. But more than ever in my career, I get letters from adults, and they say the same thing, that Dork Diaries raised me, or that the stuff they learned in 5th and 6th grade of how to deal with difficult people, they use it on the job or they used it in college. And so I just put Dork Diaries out there as a template for other kids to learn. And part of that process is to go to parents and adult people that can support you and help you, with the challenges that you're facing. So that's what I hope that parents and kids will be able to do together.
You said so many things there that I want to touch on, but I know I won't be able to touch on all of them. First, you said something about children reading the books and being able to get skills to help them cope. That's wonderful, right? That's what we want our children to do. Another thing is giving them the words. That's what I say that a lot, to be able to express what's going on in school, because a lot of times our children are not telling us things because they just don't even have the words, right?
Yeah.
They don't feel anybody else is going through it. But if there's a whole book about it, other kids,
exactly.
going through this. Yeah. And then they have a way or stories to read to be able to go back to their parents and say, hey, in this book, this is happening and this has happened to me or a friend as well. I go back to, I don't remember the title of a book, but one of the most beautiful conversations I had with my son over a book was a book about bullying. And this was like just a little book I picked up in the library. And after reading that story, he told me about a time in class. It was probably about 2 weeks prior at the time that a kid was being bullied. And that conversation would have never been had if we had not read that book.
That book, exactly.
And I was able to go to his teacher and send her an email and say, hey, I think this and this is going on in class. I don't know what the results of that were, but books like this Dork Diaries series, giving your children the words, the illustrations, the stories to be able to express what they're going through in their daily lives really opens up the dialogue in our families and in our homes.
I totally agree. Yes. I totally agree.
Absolutely.
So what else your books are also filled with, which you touched on a couple of times, is humor and wit. How do you feel humor plays a role in helping our tweens navigate life?
Because I think otherwise the book would probably be really depressing, and Nikki's not getting invited to birthday parties. Nikki sits alone in the lunchroom. At one point, the mean girl actually trips Nikki, and I think they're having spaghetti of all messy things, and then she ends up with spaghetti all over her. And if we just had incident after incident after incident of that, nobody would want to read the book, and it would probably be traumatizing, and it would remind them of how horrible their own life is. However, injecting humor in it, and having Nikki maybe laughing at it, or a lot of times Nikki, she's very shy, so she doesn't really say what she's thinking, but in the book, she'll say, Mackenzie was at my locker when she was saying something, and I told her she needed to mind her own business, and that even though her life may be perfect, there's other kids that don't have perfect lives, and she just needs to be quiet and mind her own business. But she'll add, but I just said that inside my head and nobody heard it except me. So that's even allowing kids to think the things. I mean, they can say them fine, but even just to think those things that are more empowering is probably healthy. So that's something that people get a lot of laughs off. That Nikki, when you first read it, it sounds like she's telling off somebody or she's standing up to the teacher or whatever, but she'll end it with, well, I just said that inside my head and nobody else heard it but me. But the fact that she's even saying those things and thinking those thoughts is even a step. And then at some point, Nikki does start saying those things out loud. So that's another, aspect of the book that we're hoping kids will read, and to beginning to start thinking empowering things. And when you think those things, at some point they will, come to fruition, and you'll say them, or have the courage and strength to say them.
So we've come to a point where this conversation has been so wonderful that I'm having to pick and choose questions to ask.
Okay.
And I want to choose the right ones. One thing that I really, it's a notable aspect of Dork Diaries is the presence of characters from multiple ethnicities. Why was this important for you?
It was important to me because I wanted children to see themselves in the book. So we have like all ethnicities, different religions. So I just wanted kids to open up the book and see them. And I was kind of going for like the United States. So I thought I'd, have a variety of kids of what you're seeing here. But the book has been translated into like, I think you said 38, but I think it's at 42 languages now. I think it's like 4 more new ones. So me trying to add in, the ethnicities that are you see here in the United States is like gone even beyond that, because it's now in like 46 countries and 42 languages. So people are opening up the book and they're seeing something in it, but hopefully it's themselves. And that was our goal, is to have. And if we were to take the top 10 characters and, color them in full color, I would say 10 of them would be children of color. So it is, on the paper, it just looks like, there's white pages and ink lines, so you always can't tell, but we're very, very, very diverse. And I would say half of the characters in Dork Diaries are diverse characters. And at some point, when we go into full color, you be able to see that, with your own eye. So that's what we're looking forward to.
Are you plugging full color here? I love it.
That's supposed to say, but could be, you never know. But that's my goal. That way there's no question about, who's who and who's being represented. So yeah, that's my goal, is to go full color at some point.
So what can readers expect from the 15th installment of Dork Diaries, set in Paris?
Yes. All right. So Nikki has always dreamed of going to Paris. Nikki hopes that one day she can go to Paris. So in this book, that hope just might become a reality for her and her music group. But you have to take a look and see, because there's a whole lot of drama that happens that makes Nikki wonder if she ever will make the trip. And then, of course, Mackenzie comes along and she tries to keep Nikki from shining. But Nikki finds a way, somehow, to undermine that girl like she always does.
Yes, exactly. Because dorks win in the end. They always do.
So I want to thank you for that. I want to put your website up here so folks know where to find you guys. On this site, you'll find loads of fun and dorky stuff. You'll see what I'm talking about when you get there. And there's also plenty of resources for educators. So make sure you go to dorkdiaries.com and check it out. Is there anything else that you two want to share about your books?
Just that it's a fun read. We do have the kids that started with us at 8 years old that are now graduating. They still read. So it's something that, older, if you want something that's funny and even to kind of revisit those days of middle school, it's something that young adults and adults can read as well. So it's just a funny book.
And my message is to always let your inner dork shine through and do what is unique and true to you.
Exactly. Always be true to yourself. Be it you 8 years old or 80 years old, always be true to yourself.
Wonderful. Thank you. If you don't mind, I'm just going to talk to the parents and the caregivers out there who are listening to this. Before we close out today's show, I just want to talk to you guys about how to use Dork Diaries as a series to bridge a connection with your children. When you dive into the world of Nikki Maxwell, you're immediately immersed into a roller coaster middle school life, right? It's funny, it's witty, and it'll really give you an opportunity to have an open dialogue with your children. For those of you familiar with our Engage method, which is our simple guide to an engaging story time, I want you to really pay attention to letter A, which is apply a personal touch. Rachel, Renee, and Nikki Russell, this incredible mother-daughter duo that we're talking to today, have infused this series with instances that can trigger shared laughter, empathy, and deeper connection when you're sharing your own personal stories from middle school with your children. So make sure you go to dorkdiaries.com. You find the book wherever it's available, and I'm sure it's available everywhere, Barnes & Noble,
Everywhere it
Amazon,
is.
all the stores. I'm excited. You guys know we're in Dallas, that they will soon be in Texas, and we'll be able to meet them in person. And if we don't have anything else, we're going to close out for today.
Well, thank you for having us. We had a wonderful time.
Thank you for having
Yes.
us.
Thank you so much. Everybody have a great day.
Same to you.